self-control. Gravity is all that I know. She's over me. She's over me. She comes with her hypnotic dance. She holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me. The claws in my heart, I can't let go, I'm breaking apart, controlling me, controlling me. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Paranormal Portal Bedtime Stories from Beyond. I'm your host, Brent Thomas. You are stuck with me until this is through, unless, of course, you shut the window, and then, I can't help that at all, but I hope you stick with me. I'm going to do my best to keep you entertained throughout the time of the show, and sometimes that's on purpose, and sometimes it's not, but I hope you guys are having a great day. It is Thursday, which is always a good day, I think. Tomorrow, of course, is Friday, and it's just a fantastic thing, and happy graduation to my Oliver. I'm very proud of you. Just amazing, just absolutely amazing. So I hope you guys are doing great, and welcome to the show, and I hope you're all ready because it's time for bed. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Bedtime Stories from Beyond. I am Brent Thomas, and we are now underway. And the Oliver I was referring to is my middle son is graduating high school. It's like, wow. It's just amazing. Unbelievable, but I couldn't be prouder. I love him dearly, and he's got an amazing heart, and he's just such an intelligent kid. So, proud dad. But yeah, absolutely phenomenal. But the show isn't about me. It's about all of us. So let's get you entertained here. I hope you guys are doing great. The phone lines are always open. 720-923-0500. Again, 720-923-0500. It's the call-in number if you'd like to call in and share something of your very own to the show. You're very welcome to. I would love to hear from you. And it's an amazing, amazing experience to share ghost stories with me on the show or whatever kind of paranormal stories. It's just a lot of fun. It's going to be a hot summer in the studio. I'm telling you that. Man, I don't know what I'm going to do. Oof. I got a fan going and the ceiling fan going, and I'm still sweaty. And it's not even summer heat yet, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm going to have to sort something out here in the studio. Otherwise, I'll be doing it naked. Not on camera, all naked, but could just be a topless thing. I don't know. I need. That's a whole different kind of paranormal. Trust me, it's nothing anybody should be seeing. But anyway, I got some stories lined up for you guys tonight. I hope you guys will enjoy them. Um, I always enjoy them. So they're ghost stories. What's not to love, right? Good Lord. This one has a whole lot of photos. I'm not sure if I'm going to show them or not. Well, there are some weird anomalies in here, so maybe I will. Maybe I will. We'll probably go through these visuals as well because, it looks like there might be something they captured. But let's start this off, shall we? Am I missing anything? No? Everything good? Naked portal. Yeah, well, it would be a whole different kind of portal. Probably the portal to demonetized on YouTube. I think they got decency standards, and me naked would not be anywhere within those. So, all right, let's get to, yeah, let's get to the stories. We're just circling the drain here, and I'm just trying to keep the pool filled, but all right. It would be so easy to just go all stupid here, but I can't do it. I got to keep this a family show. So I will go back to the story time. So California is the first state we'll be covering tonight, ladies and gentlemen, and let's see what you guys think. So this story is the reason behind our name. What? What? Oh, whatever. About 2 weeks ago in the new house I'm living in, and I don't know how the hell to say this. Temecula? Is there a Temecula? Temecula? With my family, my 2 kids were asleep. My husband was at work and my brother was in his homecoming dance. And I was, like I am right now, in my brother's room on the computer when I heard really loud, heavy footsteps coming up the stairs. And when they got to the top of the stairs, I heard a slap, as if someone slapped their hand hard on the top of the banister. I thought it was my dad. It kind of sounded as if he was mad, so I got up quickly to check and see what was wrong. And when I went out in the hallway, there was nobody there. So I looked in my dad's room to find that he wasn't there either. I looked through the banister downstairs where I could see my dad passed out on the couch. So I checked on my kids and they were asleep as well, and I searched the whole house and nobody had come home. A week later, I was talking to my friend Nicole, who is more like a sister, and I told her what had happened. And she got pale and looked at me and told me that just a few days before, when she was over, she was sitting on my bed and heard someone coming up the stairs. And you can see the top of the stairs from my bed. And she said she looked over, expecting to see me on the top of the stairs, only nobody was there. A few seconds later, she saw me coming up the stairs with a big basket of laundry and holding my 1-year-old son's hand, helping him up the stairs. And there was no way to explain the previous footsteps. And as I was walking up the stairs very slowly, and the footsteps she heard were fast, and yet no one was there. And that got us talking about the experience we both had in the Chula Vista house. And realizing the only thing that connects the experiences now to the ones back then was the mirror. We decided to go through some old pictures that were taken while I lived in the Chula Vista house. And while going through the pictures, we expected to find nothing. However, that definitely was not the case. We found more than a few pictures that had what people called orbs. A couple photos that almost looks like a cord got in the way, but it was a disposable camera, so there was no cord. And there were 4 pictures that have the mirror in it. And one picture we were writing off as streaks in the mirror, although you can make out faces in it. But most of the shocking are the other 3. And one was taken at Christmas time, and it looks as if there is a white-faced, almost skull-like, dark hooded thing in the mirror. And there's no way anyone could have been standing there, as with the layout of the house. And where the tree was placed, they would have had to have been standing on presents. And we also would have been able to see more of their body because the wall was right there. The other 2 were taken at my baby shower when I was pregnant with my now 6-year-old daughter. And my husband and I were sitting in between the TV and fireplace, and the fireplace that the mirror hung above. In the pictures, we were opening gifts, and these 2 pictures were taken probably about 5 minutes apart at slightly different angles. Nicole was flipping through that set of pictures when she said, "Oh, hell no. Tell me you don't see that." She handed me the album and was pointing out something she said looked like a face peering out of the mirror. I looked and honestly only saw a reflection of the flash. She was saying over and over that same face was in these two pictures and was completely freaked out by it. The next day, we took all the pictures down to Walmart and had them scanned and put on disk to load them on the computer. And once I got home, we loaded them onto the computer. And while looking at these two, zoomed in, and sure enough, clear as day, I did see the face. While looking at these photos, I remember back in the day, while setting things up and cleaning a bit before the shower, I was cleaning the mirror with a Windex and paper towel, and there was one area that seemed streaky to me on the right-hand side of the mirror, but no matter how much Windex and rubbing, it would not come off. And while I was trying to remove the streaks, I saw a face in the streaks, and it creeped me out a little bit, but it didn't scare me too much, as I just told myself it was the streaks, and they started going away. Now, normally I would write the picture off to streaks, but the face of the man we see is in the bottom left side of the mirror, and the pictures were taken at different angles, and yet the face is still exactly the same. I can understand seeing a face in one, but at different angles there shouldn't be the same in the other picture. Okay, so they got a bunch of pictures here. It says, "I'm posting the pictures with the story and feel free to find a logical explanation for them. That is the whole reason we're doing this, and we are starting to research the Chula Vista house, the mirror, and the land where the Chula Vista house was. So anything you can do to disprove them or let us know anything you know about these things would be very helpful." All right, so I'm pulling up the pictures, and they came attached to this, and this story's quite old, so I'm sure nobody's going to blow a gasket. But here's picture number one, and this is the Santa one. I can't blow it up any more than that, though. Does kind of look like a face, though, doesn't it? Well, this might be a light fixture, though. Looks like the top of a head, eyes, maybe a nose. I don't know. That's hard to tell. Let's see. Again, looking at the mirror, I don't know. Probably more obvious to the people that are experiencing it. I don't know. That one I don't see really anything. There's the orbs or dust. This one I'm not sure. I guess that's potentially the orb that they're talking about on the wall there. Could be, I guess. I don't know. That's a little different up here, but nothing really definitive. I mean, there's ideas of what it could be. It's kind of a pretty mirror, though. I kind of like that mirror. It's kind of a shield or whatever. But I guess those are orbs. But see, here's where the orbs become tricky, and is, you see the flash on the television screen, and so the flash is coming from the camera to the screen, and it's refracting up and causing these orbs, which is what I would say this is. This is just lens flaring, which create orbs, more than likely. At least it can't be ruled out. And if my position is if it's not definitively an orb, then you've got to probably default to, well, it's probably some kind of lens flare, especially when you got a hot spot on the TV where you can see the flash, and then you have these lens flare hot spots as well. So that's, doing photography for a while, you'd see this all the time. It's not supernatural, in my opinion, but that's just me. You guys can certainly believe which one. Oh, this one, they circled it. Huh. Yeah, that does look peculiar. With that angle, it would have to be something up higher that was reflecting. I wonder. I wonder if it could be, no, that guy's head would be in the way of that picture frame, but could it be picking up something on this wall right here as as the angle of light would go, it would kind of be coming down and then reflecting back. You can see a chandelier or something hanging down here, which would be right in this area, probably up higher. But whatever is there something on the wall that could look like a face? I don't know. All right, let's go to the next one. I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure these are probably definitive to them, but it's not much to go on. It's still pretty similar angle on this one. This streaky stuff this is interesting, and they say it's a disposable camera, and those, if you're not familiar with them, they look like little Kodak boxes with a lens built onto them. It's basically a roll of film with a disposable lens built onto them in a cardboard box, and you just click through and then you're done. And so they're developed. So yeah, I suppose they wouldn't have a strap on them. I don't ever recall seeing them with a strap on them, but that is, if that's not something mundane, like a finger with something dangling it from it, then that is really pretty peculiar. And this kind of flaring on shots has been used as paranormal evidence in the past. But again, could it just have been human error? Sure, it could. I don't know. Oh, that's adorable. Oh, a little baby. That's cute. But I'm not sure what I guess this streak on the side here would be what they're referring to here. And again, that is some weird light play. That's not lens flare in its traditional sense, because you don't get linear lens flare unless it was somehow reaching from the source. You may get long lens flares in the form of bars, but they will be radiating usually from the hotspot source. This one has either origination point low or high. I don't know which, but that doesn't make sense as a normal lens flare to me. So I think they got something here potentially. And that chair's seen a lot of love for sure. Some of those old chairs are so comfortable, though. So that one is interesting. So no, just because you see a long light artifact on the cushion, it still shouldn't create another light artifact long over here. If it was creating a long artifact, it would be in the form of rays of light extending from that origin point. This doesn't make sense to me in traditional terms. And again, I'm not claiming to be an expert, but I am informed on photography. That's the one thing I do know a bit about. So, yeah, interesting. Now this has got to be something in the way. That looks like the hand up there, really close, so it's being blemished out. This, like pinching a string or something dangling. I don't know. And the reason that it's doesn't come across to me as just a traditional spirit thing. I mean, it could be. It really could be, but this does have the same tonality as the skin, so it could be so close that it's almost washed out, and it's almost appearing translucent because it's so far out of the depth of field for the focus. Things that are too close to the lens can, like for instance, if you're shooting through, like say you want to take a shot, but you got to shoot through a chain link fence. The way to shoot that shot is to put the lens right up to the fence. So the lens is right making contact with that fence. And then you shoot the shot. And since it's so close, it won't appear on the film. It shouldn't even create an artifact because it's so close that it can't be focused on at all by the camera. And it should focus and capture things off in the distance as if that metal is not there. So if something's this close, it may be extended out from the lens just a little bit, and that's why it's picking up. I don't know. That's a pretty huge error to make, though. I mean, now granted, with these disposable cameras, you have a viewfinder, but it's not connected to the sensor. So in other words, there's two light paths. The one that the film is going to use in the camera itself. And then you get a little window above that where you look through to see what your shot's going to look like. So it's only separated by maybe 1.5 inches, but is it possible that something could have been just dangling in front of the lens opening in that disposable camera, but not in the viewfinder? I suppose that's possible. So maybe they didn't notice it until after the picture was developed. It could be paranormal. I'm not saying it can't be, but that's a really strange anomaly, and it doesn't make any kind of sense at all. I don't know. My opinion is it seems like it's probably a hand up here somewhere around, or a finger somewhere around I mean, it's even got a bump like a finger. Like this would be the fingertip, the bump from the knuckle, and then another bump here, potentially. And this would be a string or something dangling. But it's just not enough to make a solid determination. And here's the blue circling of that alleged face again. Yeah, it's possible. I just don't really see the face so much. Only in that one shot did it look like a face. I don't know what this is outlining, but maybe it is. I don't know. Again, same. Oh, there's so much blue on this you can't see the anomaly because they covered it with all that blue line, so you don't know what's been sketched on and what hasn't. So I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. You'll have to draw your own conclusions about those. I think they're interesting, and it's cool to review photos because, you really got to come at it from a skeptical point of view, because there's a lot of things that can show up on film and on pictures, digital pictures as well, that it might surprise you, the amount of artifacts that can appear very significantly on a photo, but you may not notice them as you're taking the pictures. And so it seems like, oh my God, where'd that come from? But once you start breaking down the dynamics, the light play at work, it's not often is it really fantastical. So just my thoughts on that, but great story. And could they be dealing with a haunting? Sure, they could. But I don't know what to make of it personally. I'm going to read this one because this is one I had from last night, and it's really long, but we got a lot of show to cover ground on here. So I'm going to read this one, and this one comes out of Indiana. I'm going to take a drink first, though, because I'm a bit parched. I'm looking at the chat room, too. All right. That's a freaking lamp. Yeah, it does. It does look like a lamp. You're right. Could be a lamp. Could be that as well. That's a good point. It looked to me like it was really close to the lens because of how washed out and translucent it was. But, it could be just another lamp. That is a possibility. Parched Portal, that's me. But I'm less parched now because I took a drink. So I'm hydrated Portal now. I don't even know what the hell that means. That sounds so lame. Oh, my God. All right. Sorry. All right, here we go. The next one is Indiana. It says, I actually started to feel things when I was in my preteens, and I became the ghost hunter of the family and the butt of many a joke. So, to be absolutely honest, I smothered this talent so that at every family gathering, there were no new stories for the family to harass me about. Most of my young experiences I had completely forgotten. One or two stick out in my memory, but otherwise I became a normal teen in the eyes of the extended family. Now my teenage daughter has become a sort of magnet, and I find this a bit disturbing, as we also have a 4-year-old who appears to have a firm grasp on things that have happened before, almost as if from another existence. He can give, in a 4-year-old way of doing things, timelines and such, and has even warned us on occasion of things to come. Either that, or he is one of the world's leading child storytellers. 9 years ago, when our daughter was 6, we lived in a mobile home park in Goshen, Goshen, Indiana, in the U.S., and the houses were rather close together, so much of the audio phenomenon we have discounted as to the proximity. In the middle of the night, running footsteps could be heard running down the hall, only in one direction, towards the master bedroom. And while taking a bath in the garden tub, master bath off the master bedroom, I would have to cover the 8 mirrors that were above the his and her sinks and countertop walls, and even in the sides or in the glass in the door, so that my daughter could actually play in the tub. If the double glass doors, pretty heavy for a mobile home, were left open, they would have to be closed, or she just was not comfortable in the room. Our daughter's bedroom was in the front of the house with her window facing out and into the street. The neighborhood was really quiet and, for the most part, really nice. Yet she felt the need to cover up her window. She had a walk-in closet with sliding doors that would lift off the track in the middle of the night, and her bathroom had an adjoining wall to that room and was decorated very much like a little girl would dream of, a perfect bath, but she could not walk into it alone. We initially thought it was because the front door of the home was directly across from it. In fact, if someone was coming in the front door and someone was coming out of the bathroom, the doors would hit if they were not opened cautiously. Eventually, she opted to stop sleeping in that room, and she could not give us a real concrete reason for her not wanting to stay in there. She could only tell us that it was a dark, cold room, and it made her sad. And if she would have had a friend over, she would not take them into her room for more than a few minutes to choose toys. Then they would be out and playing in the living room. My husband decided that we needed to move, and a new baby was on the way, and our daughter's discomfort was a bit much for a daddy to handle. And I think, and approximately a week before we were to move into a 3-story house in a different city about 17 miles away, we were lying on the bed of the master bedroom explaining to our daughter all of the new changes she was going to have to deal with. And there was a new school, friends, neighbors, practically a new life for a 9-year-old. And we were just talking and looking at the ceiling fan, assuring her that we would not change, just the circumstances we lived in, when the fan began to spin slowly. We checked the wall switch and the pull cord, and both were in the off position, and there was no breeze going through the house at the time, and the three of us were the only ones visibly present. Well, we moved to Elkhart, Indiana, and things went smoothly for a while, and it appeared as if our daughter was really adjusting well to her new life and circle of friends. And our bedrooms were upstairs, and ours at the head, our daughter across the hall, and our son was at the end of the farthest away from the stairs. And our daughter woke us up late one night and described hearing gunshots or the backfiring of a car coming from her closet. She had a walk-in 15 by 8 foot closet. Wow, that's significant. And had been used as an attic space by previous tenants. And as we moved in, while the reconstruction was in full swing, we attributed the sounds to echoes from the road bouncing off her almost empty closet, as she didn't have enough clothes to fill the space and that the carpeting had yet to be laid. Her room was always the coldest in the home, and we gave her space heaters, electric blankets, put heaters in the hall, cranked up the thermostat during the day thinking it would warm it up, and we had the furnace serviced and left all the doors opened to maximize heat flow throughout the house. And our son's room shared one of the walls with our daughter's closet, and his door began to slowly shut itself. And I could never see anything behind the door, but it felt as if someone was holding the door and closing it while watching the stairs, almost as a child would if sent to their room and told that someone would be up in a minute to talk to them. This was a feat in itself, as the carpeting was quite plush, and it took a bit of muscle to shut it. And as our son was still in the infant years, he was still sleeping in our room and not yet in his own room. Our daughter welcomed a new friend in her life that we never got to meet. She would sit in the closet with the heavy metal accordion-style doors open, playing and talking for hours, and in our son's room, his musical toys would start playing of their own accord, and CDs and tapes would not play in that room. The radio would, but if we took the portable player into another room, it worked perfectly. She had reoccurring stomach problems, and at school, behavioral problems were beginning to occur after choosing this room. While walking down the stairs to get ready for school one morning, she fell down 10 of the steps, picked herself up and on the landing, and promptly fell down the remaining 4 steps. When questioned, she said she felt dizzy and just lost her balance twice. My husband, 270 pounds, 5'11", body build of a wrestler, was shoved up the stairs, and on another occasion, somebody actually left a hand mark on his ankle when they grabbed it as he ran up the stairs to quickly check on something. We found him laying on the carpet as if asleep. Friends who stayed the night in the bedroom in the basement, direct line under the bathroom, and our daughter's closet space claim to have their toes gently played with, and they have heard breathing when no one was there. Someone sat on the bed with one of our male guests, and a rustle as if a fabric was heard. A friend who stayed in our daughter's room while she was away for the weekend became quickly and violently ill and could not make it out of bed in time to be sick. She remained quite ill until we moved her into another room on the ground floor of the house, where all of her symptoms just stopped. Yikes. I was getting ready for work one day and I finished the shower, came out, briefly spoke to my daughter before she headed off to school, and returned to the bathroom, and my husband was a stay-at-home dad at the time, and I got a bit dizzy and almost as if you stand up too quickly, and woke up to my son crying and my husband on the phone explaining that they just found me on the floor. No medical reasons for any of us to be passing out. I asked a lady at work about house blessings, as I knew that both her husband and herself were healers, and with two of her associates, we sent them, the men folk, outside for a while and blessed the entire house with our daughter in attendance, and she complained of feeling uneasy and said that the whole thing was creepy. A few days later, I was told to watch her for signs of possession. Maybe it wasn't the house, maybe it was actually my child, so I enrolled her in outpatient therapy with a psychologist nearby who is known for dealing with the unknown, and the results were not what we were expecting. If anything, we had an increase of activity and no instructions on how to deal with them, so after 3 years of therapy, I took her out. 2 years ago, we moved about 4 miles away for reasons totally not related to the activities in that house, and we now live right on Main Street and are having just about the same types of experiences in this home. An insurance man came into the house and asked who lived in the attic, and nobody did. It was an unfinished room that does not yet even have a full-length floor installed. The door opens on its own and there's a hook lock on it. A friend was visiting with her 1-year-old and she will not return. The baby came in and toddled past the attic door and played with the little desk we have set up, and within moments the child became ill and threw up, and we took her outside to play and she was fine. We came in to get a bite to eat and she wanted to sit at the desk, and that is where she ate, and afterwards she started playing again and got ill. No fever, no new foods or drink. There was no known explanation for her illness. We get phone calls at all hours of the day and night when no one's on the other side, and one of the bedroom doors opens when no one is around. Music is heard in one corner of the living room where there is no radio and no speakers. We put things away for a time and find them in a place where we would not put them. Toys still go off. The alcove inside the front door is our computer room, and it is always the coldest room in the house, and we have plexiglass on the outside of our windows, yet to be comfortable in there, and we have to run a space heater. I'm lost. I used to explain things away by saying it was just the ghost of the house, but if it is my daughter's energy, how do I fix that? She's 15 now, and she is a magnet or whatever, and I need to know how to help her deal with whatever's going on. I closed it all off at an early age, so I'm afraid I have no way of showing her the ropes. If it is a ghost following us or different entities, what do I do to put them at ease? When we move again, what is to say that these occurrences won't happen again? That's the tough part, is figuring out why. I don't know. That's a pretty supercharged kind of situation, though, and could very well be a very dangerous situation. People becoming ill. There are many spirits that have the ability to affect people physically. They can cause fevers. They can cause nauseousness. They can cause things to go sideways. There's stories of people being attacked by demons or dark things and being rushed into surgery because their intestines are twisted around. The intestines in their stomachs are twisted around and they need to be surgically fixed. I mean, that's a terrible situation for sure. So I don't know what the answer is there, but it's one of those things that once you start, you got to keep going. You got to keep pushing that activity down and, I guess attacking it, because once it gets a real strong foothold, maybe it already has it. I don't know, but yeah, you can't quit or find a way to come to peace with it, I guess. That's a scary, scary situation, especially when children are involved. That I don't like. You got to call the portal and we'll get you in touch with several people who'd be willing to help. But I hope that family turned out okay. Again, that's an old story, so none of this is brand new current events. This is, many, many years old, so. But still, they're very, very profound stories, even if they aren't real current. Oh my God, this one's horribly long too. And by horrible, I don't mean it's a bad story. I just mean, my God, that's a long story. I got to see what time we're at now. 36 minutes. That would be like the rest of the show. Let me check these ones. That one's short. This one's longer, but not horribly long. That one's very short, and this one's pretty long. So I got some real long ones. My God. All right, I'm going to read the really, really long one, I guess. Because, well, let me look, though, make sure it's not. Oh, no, I can't read this one anyway. It's one of those investigator things, and I don't read those. They're great, just for reading for information and stuff, but they're not great for reading for entertainment value. So let's see. This one looks like it's very, very short. Yeah, I'll just read the rest of these, and that should be about the night anyway. I need a drink. Well, this one might have a good picture. I can only see a thumbnail of it, but it might be a good one. And I will certainly share those with you. I love the ones that have pictures, actually, because I think it's cool to go through them together. So many people out there are saying, oh, look at the ghost in my pictures. Look at my ghost in my pictures. And I like when we find pictures in these stories to include, because I can go over what I see and, take it or leave it. I'm not trying to express myself as any kind of an expert here. What? You can't hear anything. What do you mean? Is everyone else hearing me okay? I don't know. What's going on? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Somebody say something in chat so I know you can hear me. Anyone? Yes, I hear you. No? Anything? Fine here. Good. Okay, thanks, Ken. All right, there they come. All right, Rivers just said, I can't hear anything, so I don't know. Okay, good. Oh, maybe I got too far away from the microphone. Sorry if that was the case. But I like going through pictures with you guys because I can show you what I look for, and maybe that's valuable, maybe it's not, but it's certainly a chance for me to share my criteria with you. And it doesn't make me right or wrong. It's just my opinions. I could very, very well be discounting very valid captures, but, for me, it just has to follow a line of logic. Otherwise, I just can't. I can't just blindly go, oh, yeah, I'm sure there's a ghost there. I just can't. So this one's coming out of South Carolina, ladies and gentlemen. It says, I went up to South Carolina with my college roommate, and we've been saving our money to go to this haunted ghost jail tour, Charleston Graveyard, and their post office museum. The jail tour was an old jail, and you could feel something strange and cold the moment you went in. And we were both ghost hunters, and we exchanged true stories of past lives with orbs and spirits, and we shared photos together, and ever since then, we've been companion ghost hunters. And in these places, before you took photos of them, we could feel cold spots the moment we took these. Whenever our hair on the back of our necks was standing up, we took a picture wherever we felt a place that spooked us. The graveyard in Charleston we took during the day and night, and the jail photos we took late at night. And we went to stay at a hotel for the first night, and the next day we started the tours. Before we took these photos, there was nothing there. The paranormal just showed up when these photos were done developing in the lab. They are now kept in a photo album book, and it was strange. Nothing like this happened to the pictures we took before. So it's all new to us. We're beginners, you could say, with this kind of stuff. Anybody taking photos that happen to them like these? We think that the ghosts and orbs want to be more seen nowadays. Don't know why. Right now we are learning EVP and we take a ghost class, and our class is ecstatic, and they misspelled it. They said EXTATIC, ecstatic, about our photos, and now everyone believes in ghosts. But why do ghosts show themselves on film instead of normal eye? And here's the thing, I don't think they do. I just think that the film captures a broader light spectrum than our eyes do. And so those more subtle light patterns that don't register with our eyes may show up on film much easier. And so I don't think it's always intentional, although I think the spirits can choose to vibrate at a level that'll show up on camera. But I think that's just sometimes they get captured. Like, for some reason they're vibrating at the right frequency at the moment the shutter is snapped, and there they are. Voila. But I do have pictures, as I said before. So I'm going to put these over on the other screen and we can review them. Wow. That's actually a pretty good capture. I like these so far. This is the first one. This looks like to be an outdoor shot in night. I don't know if that's a street light or not. I have no idea. Here's something that's peculiar. I don't know what that would be if it wasn't an energy of some kind. Now, here's the thing that I do acknowledge in looking at this instantly is that there is a hotter spot on the top that seems to fade on the bottom, which would correlate with a flash being up here shooting outward, so that the topmost part would be real hot, and then as it got lower in the frame, it would be less hot. But I don't know what it is, because it does fade into pretty much invisibility almost at the bottom for the most part. So this could very well be an apparition of some kind. Very, very cool. Now, it could very well be just some other piece of something that got in the way. But yeah, that's a pretty good capture right off the bat. And I don't know if this is an orb or if this is a street light. It kind of plays like a street light, like there might be a pole here. So this might just be part of the scene. But this part, I don't know. It's bizarre enough that it could very well be. All right, next is, well, now this is curious. I don't know if this is a panel of glass that's in front here or if this is wide open. Now, if this is a panel of glass, because I'm seeing a light reflection here of what looks like a doorway. So I'm thinking this is a reflection, and there may just be someone over in this area standing, looking at a bulletin board or looking at a wall or looking down a hall. And it could be because of the door appearing here, and it's obviously not part of this room because the room has this wallpaper border here. So the door is a reflection. I think this is a glass, and they're just catching somebody's reflection that's probably right to their left as they're taking this picture. So I'm not so sure about that one. And there's a lot of other foggy stuff that does look like a reflection kind of stuff that was appearing in that window. And that's what's hard about going to some zoos and taking pictures of things like, the big cats or any of the animals if they're behind glass, because you really gotta really pick a pretty smart angle to not pick up these subtle reflections when you're shooting through glass. And so I really think that this is probably someone at their left, maybe even behind them as they're taking this shot, but they're just next to a wall or looking this way. So I don't know. It's a cool picture, but I think this is just a reflection. This one, I don't know. Nothing's really jumping out at me as to what it could be. This is just looks like a daytime shot of the cemetery, but I'm not noticing anything right away that's going, ooh, this is ghostly. There might be something here, but I'm not seeing it just at, first blush. Oh, that's pretty good. That's a tough one to explain. I don't know what that is. Could be an apparition. I don't know. That could very well be another apparition, and it does kind of have the same features as that first one, so it might just be something was following them around if it was. So I think there's at least a couple of good possible captures here, but there's, other ones that I don't think were all that profound. It's a beautiful old cemetery, but I don't see anything spooky about it. This, I think, is a reflection. And then there's this, which looks an awful lot like the last one here. So those could be two great captures. It's possible, is all I'm going to say. No definitive judgment calls, and you really can't make a definitive judgment call because we don't have the camera. We don't have the ability to talk to the people that shot the film. We don't have the ability to take test shots in the same area to see if we can duplicate this. And without those abilities, it's just anybody's guess. But you just try to run it through at least a little bit of logic criteria, and if it still stands up, then maybe you really got something. I don't know. Just my 2 cents. Again, I'm not an expert, but there's a couple shots there that I think are absolutely, really possibly incredible. But there's a couple others that are really absolutely less incredible. So that's another long one. My God. Let's see. Where are we at with the time? Let me look at that quick. 47 minutes. I guess we got about 10 minutes left. Can I read through this in 10 minutes? Yeah, I think I can. I think I can for you guys. Was this one the short one? There's a real short Ouija board one that I'm going to read first, and this is coming out of Idaho, right in my backyard, possibly. I don't know where in Idaho, but it's here. It says, oh, hey, Mac. Good to see you. I got a bit of Brent in the chat. Good to see you, Mac. Thanks for coming in. I'm just seeing anybody here that I have missed. Good to see that. I didn't do any shout-outs, did I? There's 22 people in here right now. Let's see who's here. Oh, it just says 3 names. Lewis and Stacy Lynn and me. That is not a correct list. I don't know why their participants tool is so broken. But anyway, Idaho, me and 4 of my friends, we skipped school one day and went to my friend's house, and we were kind of bored, so we decided to pull out the Ouija board. Oh, great idea. Not a good idea. And I never played with one before, and we went in my friend's room, and he has a blanket over his window, so we thought it would be dark enough. And that's really not important at all. Dark or light, it doesn't matter, for the record. But we started playing with it and asked questions. And once we got familiar with it, we asked it to do something to let us know that it was in the room. It said no, and we asked why, and it said because the light. So we went into his storage closet, and I found this crazy clown doll, and we turned off the lights and tried it again, and I put the doll on his heater, and his storage closet didn't have any windows, so it was way dark. This time we got a different spirit and asked it some questions like how it died and how old it was when it died and what its name was and stuff like that. And we put the clown on top of his heater and asked the spirit to move the clown doll to prove it was really there. He said he would, and we all just listened as hard as we could to see if it did anything. And we didn't hear anything, and it was too dark to tell, so we just kept playing like usual. And when we turned on the lights, the doll was sitting right next to me. Crazy, huh? Yeah, that is crazy. It could just be someone was really jacking you around too. Possibly though. That is creepy. Plenty creepy. So this one's got to be a tomorrow one. That's really long. Hear him coming down the stairs. Bump, bump, bump. The minion's heavy feet. He's like 3 years old, almost 4. But it's like he weighs about 150 pounds the way he walks. I don't know how he pulls it off. All right, from Colorado. This happened probably about 2.5 to 3 years ago. But it really still scares me stupid every time I think about it. Scares me stupid. I like that. It's quite long because there are events. These are all the events that happened in the course of about 6 months. So it began when my boyfriend was getting ready to move out of his apartment and into a nice duplex in the downtown area. Most homes in that area are around 1950s and older, to give you an idea. And maybe a day or two before him and his roommate moved into the place, he had a very vivid dream, and he was in his current apartment, and there was something haunting him and his roommate. So he decided he was going to perform an exorcism to try to get the ghost to leave. In his dream, he was sitting on the bed and doing some sort of meditation, and suddenly the ghost of a young girl appeared and started throwing things at him and yelling, get the F out of my house. Jeez. Over and over again. And behind her was a tall man hovering over her, and he woke up and called me. He was really startled. A while after they'd moved into the house, things were going really well, and aside from my boyfriend having the occasional bizarre dream, which we didn't really think much about. And one day we were all outside the porch, and the neighbor from the connecting duplex came over and started describing this dream he had that was really weird. Needless to say, when we heard how similar it was to the ones my ex-boyfriend was having, we were all a little freaked out. The dreams went on for a really long time, and that was... I'm kind of screwing this up, I'm sorry. Then there was the weird things, like lights turning on randomly, or hearing the floorboards creak when no one was walking on them, and the rocking chair moving when no one was near it, things like that. And at this point, we were all convinced there was something in the place, but it wasn't mean or vengeful. I really started to get scared when I was at the house sleeping, and I was having kind of a weird dream, and I sort of woke up a little and was in that state where you're almost asleep, but you can still sense things around you. And it felt like someone was in my bedroom, and then I felt a really heavy feeling on top of my chest, like someone was sitting on me almost, and I could hardly breathe. And then something moved my legs and forced them down on the bed, and it took me a few minutes to catch my breath and jump up, and I'd never been so terrified. I described this to my boyfriend, and he wondered if it maybe had something to do with the girl or the man hovering over her that was in his dream. After that, things started to get even creepier, and I got a call from my boyfriend one night after he'd gotten off of work, and he went home and was sitting in his room in the basement playing guitar, and he heard something in the other room of the basement that startled him, but continued to play. And when he heard what sounded like footsteps coming from upstairs, he got really freaked out and grabbed the phone and ran outside and called me. That sounds like the perfect person to call. He was standing about as far away from the house as he could while still having a connection on his landline phone. And we talked for quite some time. And a little while into our conversation, he said that there was some sort of figure standing on his porch. The porch light was on, and there was a distinct shadow in front of the door just standing there. He waited until his roommate got home a few hours later before walking near the house again. Not too much longer after that, I stayed at my dad's house in the country for a couple nights, and I was sleeping in his office and had a pretty vivid dream that was mostly just nonsense, but this girl kept appearing, and she had long, sort of bushy brown hair, glasses, and was wearing a big puffy 70s style winter coat, and she kept glaring at me. And at one point, it felt like someone was hovering over me as I was sleeping. I kind of jumped awake, but was more so a little startled then scared, and I went right back to sleep and didn't really think about it until maybe a week or so later when I was with my boyfriend. I was just casually telling him about this dream that struck me as a little weird and described the girl, and he looked at me with his eyes wide open and didn't say anything for a couple of minutes. My description of the girl in my dream was exactly like the girl he had seen in his first dream. Things slowed down for a while after that, and it was probably, about a month later, and we had a get-together at the house, and one of our friends ended up sleeping on the couch, and one of my boyfriend's roommates woke up at around 6 a.m., and she was no longer sleeping on the couch, and later on that day she called and said that around 4 in the morning she heard someone walking around in the kitchen for a really long time. She ignored it and tried to go back to sleep, and just as she was about to fall back asleep, she said all of a sudden she heard footsteps running really quickly from the kitchen into the living room and stop right in front of the couch. That is horrible. That's a mean, mean thing to do. Where she was sleeping. Without even thinking about it, she jumped up and grabbed her things and went home at 4:30 in the morning in the cold. It was only a couple of nights later that my boyfriend had the biggest scare. He had a very, very vivid dream. He said it was almost like a lucid dream, and he was trying to get out of the house, but he was trapped. He felt something push him down, and he was stuck to the floor halfway between the basement and the first level at about the waist, with something trying to push him the rest of the way down, and he was struggling really hard trying to move, to speak, to wake up. When he finally brought himself to wake up, he looked up over, and there was a bluish, smoky looking part of a body, and it was a proportion of a woman's torso, and he had a good look at it for about 5 seconds or so, and then it dissipated into his books. He jumped up and ran upstairs as fast as he could and banged on his roommate's bedroom door, and they were sitting on the couch as my boyfriend was explaining what happened when all of a sudden the lamp turned itself on. Both of them sat up all night on the front porch, afraid to go back inside. The next day, while alone in the house, my boyfriend started to get a little creeped out because he said it felt like something was there with him. He calmly told it to leave him alone and leave his friends alone, and there wasn't too much activity after that. We were all still a little freaked out to be in the house, and one of my boyfriend's roommates was Native American, and his father was a medicine man, so he did a cleansing on the house, and after that, nothing happened again. Before this, I sort of believed in the supernatural, but every time weird things would happen, I'd think of a logical reason for it to happen. Or I'd think I was just going insane. Now, though, I'm almost the complete opposite and much more aware of supernatural things happening around me. Whoa. Well, there you have it. Very wild. But, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that is our episode for tonight. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had a good time. I hope you're consistently but pleasantly freaked out and ready for bed. The last one is all about dreams. So when I say sweet dreams at the end, I'm really being sincere, just for the record. But yeah, I think it's pretty cool stories. I hope you guys liked it. Scared the crap out of me. Sorry about that, Mac. But rainbows and puppy dogs, tails and stuff like that. I don't know. Unicorns and rainbows. Before you go to bed, just think about that kind of stuff, and you're guaranteed to have sweet dreams, I think. If you believe it, you might. Thanks for a great show. Thank you, Many Musings. I appreciate that. Thank you, Stacy Lynn. Awesome to see everybody, and you guys always make my days complete. So thank you so much for being here and being a part of the portal. And remember, tomorrow the Friday episode drops for our podcast, and I'd love it if you guys would go on iHeart, go on to Pandora, iTunes, wherever you find podcasts, and you can find the Paranormal Portal and download our episodes and subscribe if you would, please. It would really help us out a bunch. We are really having a good time doing these podcasts, and really exciting to expand the presence of the Paranormal Portal and what we're doing. So I hope you guys will help us support that. That'd be really wonderful. And you can always help support the portal by going to our Teespring site, which the link is below us in the description. You can go there and check it out. Maybe you'll find something you like, and get a really cool sweater or coffee cup or a cell phone case or a sticker. There's lots of options. So it definitely goes a long way to help us with what we're doing here on the portal, and will help us do so much more. So I love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. And subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Yes, there's a paranormal podcast, Paranormal Portal podcast. Yes. And you can find it on iTunes, iHearts, every place. It should be out there. And special thanks to Revolver Podcasts for making that possible. The episode that drops tomorrow will be an interview that was made just for the podcast, brand new, with Jerry Klein, talking about his Bigfoot experiences some more. So it'll be a great show. Definitely looking forward to that. Duke, by the way, says that my visit onto the World Bigfoot Radio should be going up tonight, is what he told me earlier, but maybe not quite tonight, but hopefully. He's still getting his health under him. He just went through a real big spell of not feeling real well. So it's possible. So check out World Bigfoot Radio here on YouTube, and you can check out the appearance that I made on World Bigfoot Radio, talking about some of my own experiences. Pretty wild stuff. But there's also some pictures on there that have never been seen online before that I released to Duke for the episode. So they were my experiences back in Minnesota before I lived out here in the north of Idaho. So anyway, guys, I love you all. Have a great night. And sincerely, I mean this, sweet dreams.